The Black Studies program at Cleveland State University welcomes you to this season of Image It, a public affairs radio forum dedicated to open dialogue on a variety of diverse topics of interest and issues of concern, which focus on the life and experiences of African Americans and all peoples of African descent. By visiting our website at www.csuohio.edu/Black Studies and clicking on the Images link, you can view upcoming shows and listen to past guests. Now here is your host for Images.
Welcome to another edition of Images. I'm Dr. Michael Williams, and we're really excited today to have two programs that's going to take place June 6th and 7th here in Cleveland. And I know you'll be at both of these programs, and because it certainly will make a difference in your life. And we're just excited to have these individuals in our studio to talk about the programs that they're hosting for the residents of the city of Cleveland. We have Lynn Hampton here to talk about the Umoja Festival that's going to take place on June 6th. That's a Saturday, and that's going to be that's going to start at 12 noon. Mm-hmm. And it's the fifth annual parade, Black History Month parade. So we're going to talk about that in a minute. And then we have Safiyyah Muhammad, and we have Stephen Boyd here to talk about the LocFest that's going to take place Sunday, June 7th. So there's two exciting events that's going to take place here in the city of Cleveland. Welcome to Images, everybody.
Thank you very much, Doctor.
Okay, we're going to get right to where we're at. But before we do, let's start with our lady, Mrs. Muhammad. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a resident of Cleveland. I was born here. I was educated here. I've been into the natural hair business for about 20 years. And I also was a entrepreneur for an African clothing boutique for about 20 years, in which I started doing hair in the back of the shop.
Okay. And Stephen Boyd?
Yes, sir. Well, we are... I'm one of the co-founders of this event that we're going to be talking about today, LocFest, and it really grew out of the efforts by, we like to call her the founder of LocFest. She kind of helped us, the both of us, get involved in natural hair care, a sister by the name of Majida Tawfiq. So her and Safiyyah Muhammad both were helpful and key, to making the law get strengthened in the state of Ohio to make it possible for natural hair care, particularly via African braiding shops where people's hair is braided or is locked and cared for. That's almost it's really a brand new business set that got started here in the state. Probably been since that law changed as a result of Majida's efforts. She's not here with us today, and Safiyyah. Representative Vermel Whalen. She just really helped us, and John Barnes, the Representative John Barnes, has stayed on top of it to make that happen. So it's been new industry. So the LocFest is basically going to deal with the implications of natural hair care, specifically the locked hair care style. We're going to demystify some things about it.
Okay, don't spoil it for the guests. I want them to hold on to the end of the program to hear all about what you're going to do about LocFest.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and Lynn Hampton.
Yes, how you doing? I'm a Cleveland police officer for 21 years. Currently president of the Black Shield Police Association and also president of the Carter G. Woodson Project that is putting on the 5th annual event, the Umoja Day Parade and Festival, African History Month, Sankofa.
Let's start with your event, Lynn, because it's on June 6th, Saturday, 12 noon, and I had the opportunity of meeting you a while ago, and I remember the first time you brought this idea up, and here it is 5 years later, and it's grown each year. So let's talk about the Umoja Festival.
Well, it's the opening of the month of June. I do programs and community events around town, and some years back, I was doing a program in February around Black History Month. And, you're always on pins and needles a little bit about far as up in this northern hemisphere as far as the weather is concerned. And I say, well, if I'm nervous about that and, having my event canceled or poorly attended, I know other folks who doing things in that particular time frame is going through the same thing. So I just, shopped the town and talked to several people and see how they felt about, extending our Black History celebrations when it's a warm climate. So in June just seemed to be the perfect month to do that. It's not interfering with any other activities, and we got 4 other events in June that we can wrap programs around. So we take the whole month of June and do programs, and it's a time where our elders can come out and participate and things like that. So the parade is just the opening ceremony of the month.
Okay. And also, I attended the parade and the festival that you have, and it's generally at Voinovich Park. Can you tell us a little bit about what was taking place that day?
Yes. The parade is going to stage around 10:30 or so at 15th and Superior, and step off at 13th and Superior up to East 9th Street and north right into Voinovich Park at noon. Step off at noon, and then shortly after the festival will take place, where we have several performers, great performers from Hub Groove to Angel P and the Creative Players, the Blues Posse Band, and of course the Hugh People is going to be there as well. We got the Gory Dance Troupe from Columbus, and one of my drum teachers, Kapai Passaway, the Liberian ambassador, he'll be there performing, and some Senegalese drummers, Tam Tam Magic. So it's going to be a great lineup as well, and then you have booths and vendors there as well. So
one of the things that I want the audience to know is that this idea was Lynn Hampton's idea. It was his baby, and a lot of times we don't give credit to people while they're alive and well, and allow them to sniff their roses. And I know Lynn has dealt with a lot of challenges and frustrations and excitement, and so we want to personally thank you for persevering, through all of it, because I know there was times when you could just say, "Why am I doing this?" but you never stopped putting one foot in front of the other. So we personally want to thank you. But what made you just keep at it?
Well, like I say, my position with the Black Shield, my position in doing this right here, the reason I do these things is bigger than those particular 2 organizations. It's a agreement that I made with the Creator to do something positive and do something to enlighten and empower our community, and especially my people. So this is the mission that I own, and those positions that I keep is just 2 vehicles that I do in order for me to do what I set out to do.
Okay. And what's interesting about this, because a lot of times people will say, well, is Mr. Hampton trying to replace Black History Month? I said, no, what he's doing is what we've been advocating for a long time, that Black history is 24/7, and we shouldn't have just one specific time to settle it. And even Carter G. Woodson said that he just wanted to highlight it during that period of time, and that it was not to be the end all. So it moved from a week to a month, and then people think you only do it during that period of time. But history is 24/7. And when we return from our break, we'll talk a little bit more about the Umoja Festival that's going to take place on June 6th here in Cleveland. And we want everybody to be out at the festival and the parade, and we'll talk about how you can get involved in both of those events. And then we're going to turn to LocFest, which will be Sunday, June 7th. We're going to talk about from the parade to how to get your hair professionally done in locks, and what the importance of all of that is. And so we're going to see you guys on the other side of these couple messages.
Established in 1969, the Black Studies program of Cleveland State University is currently comprised of 6 instruments used to implement the program's mission to contribute knowledge, promote understanding, and to share with all generations and all cultures the rich legacy of the African diaspora. First, there is the academic program, an interdisciplinary curriculum of nearly 80 courses offering a major and minor in Black Studies. The Howard A. Mims African American Cultural Center is open to the public and features art exhibits, programs, a colloquium series, panel discussions, and roundtables. The Lecture Art and Media series brings international, national, and local speakers, artists, and films to the campus. Images, a public affairs radio forum, interviews guests from many fields of endeavor. The Jazz Heritage Orchestra is a professional 17-piece orchestra comprised of musicians who are also educators officially in residence at CSU. The Jazz Heritage Orchestra is dedicated to preserving and perpetuating the musical heritage of the great African American jazz masters. They are available for performance engagements. The 6th instrument is the Black Aspirations Celebration, a week-long event of cultural arts and contemporary issues. Dr. Michael R. Williams is the director. Prester Pickett is coordinator of the Cultural Center. Dennis Reynolds is music director of the Jazz Heritage Orchestra, and Vivian L. Sharp is the announcer. And now back to Images.
We're back on Images with our very special guest, Mr. Muhammad, Steve Boyd, and Lynn Hampton, about a very exciting weekend that's going to take place here in Cleveland. They're always talking about there's nothing to do in Cleveland. Well, this weekend of June 6th and 7th, you won't have that as an excuse. There will be activities going on from sun up to sundown on both those days. So I hope you look forward to those. We're talking to Lynn Hampton again a little bit about the Umoja Festival and parade. How can people get involved with what you're doing?
Well, they can give me a call at 216-323-6155, 216-323-6155. And if they want to get a handle on the calendar of events too, they can go to www.africanhistorymonthsankofa.com, AfricanHistoryMonthSankofa.com, and then see what's going on and see what they want to participate in that month. Yeah.
Okay. And we certainly want everybody. And can you tell a little bit of time about, you said the parade starts about what time?
The parade will step off at noon at 13th and Superior. Some of the quick participants, the Shaw High School Band, the Buffalo Soldiers, the 5th Infantry Soldiers, the Black Drag Car Racers, we'll all be participating in several community organizations we'll be a part of. And so it's a festival with a purpose. We, in the times of where we are right now and in the times of crisis in our community, and most of our events should wrap around some kind of positive imagery and self-esteem. And I'm a true believer, if you feel better about yourself, you do better about yourself.
And we certainly want to thank Lynn for all his efforts, and we need to hold him up in terms of the things that he's doing, because we're going to have a lot of young brothers and African American brothers out there and sisters doing positive things, and we're always hearing the negative things, but we want to make sure that we give roses while people are alive to sniff them. So we want to make sure everybody attend the Saturday event on June 6th, starting at noon and culminating in Vonovich Park in terms of what's happening there. Now we want to turn our attention briefly, and Lynn is not going to leave us right at this moment because we're going to bring him back toward the end of this, but we're going to talk a little bit about our event on June 7th, Sunday, starting at the doors open at 1 p.m. and it goes to 8 p.m. and it's the LocFest 2015. So let's start with the lady. Tell us a little bit about LocFest.
Well, LocFest 2015 is a program that we are starting here in Cleveland, and we're going to be demonstrating how to do some locks, tell you how to take care of your locks, and also we're going to get into some of the origin of locks and the economics. As our speakers we have coming from various places that are going to be discussing that, and the wellness in terms of our health, because our hair grows from the inside out. And so if we're healthy inside, we're going to have healthy hair outside. And then you need to know how to take care of that hair doing natural styles. Many women are getting away from or getting more into doing their hair, wearing their hair naturally, and they really need help on how to do this. And so this is some of the purpose of our program. And we're also going to be doing some free things. We're going to give you some lock adornment. We're going to have scalp massaging. We're going to give you some free hair consultations. Also, we have a fragrance that we're going to be steaming into the hair. And this is a new concept that we're doing. We think that everyone will enjoy that, walking around with their hair smelling real good. Mm-hmm. And we have events as well, as we're going to have a few people singing. We have a rap artist for the young at heart. And we have African dancing. And we have vendors that will be displaying a variety of products for your shopping pleasure.
And Steve, I've known you a long time, and you only get involved in activities that you see are conscious and really trying to do things positive in the community. So how did you get involved with LocFest?
Well, I was a part of I backed the two sisters up that were working on changing the law to make it stronger so that we could have natural hair care. But actually, if I were to tell you the honest truth, this is all Jackie's fault.
Jackie being your wife.
My wife, Jackie, because Majida does my wife's hair. And they've always tried to barter business out of me, which they did, to get their events done, and that's how I got involved in this, just trying to help my wife. So, but it's been more than that, because Safiyyah had the dress shop, so I used to do her advertising so she could do things for my wife. So then they all are friends, and so now when the natural hair opportunity was presented to us, we started working, and it's a lot to it. There really is. There'll be a gentleman coming in because she just mentioned women, like men are not wearing locks, but men are wearing locks. And there's much about our history and culture that we need to learn. We can never get enough of it. That's why I appreciate what Hamptonio does, because that's one of the things we just have to have more and more of our culture coming at us so we can appreciate things like the history of our hair. What does that mean? Where'd it come from? Most give it all to the Rastafarians, and it's not something that we need to understand that way. So there are lots of implications relative to health. There's a gentleman coming that's going to really give us some ideas about wellness, what the implications from a health standpoint are. I always tell people, I started locking in 2005. I have not had a cold since.
And so one of the things you begin to think about with the locks, and as a scholar, one of the things I think about is when I see people wearing locks or wearing an afro or however they wear their hair, I often wonder, are you making a political statement, or are you making a fashion statement, or what is your state of mind what does that mean when you do those types of things? And oftentimes people are doing a little bit of both, fashion and political statement. But a lot of times people are wearing things and have no idea of what that means.
That's very true. And you get a little bit of both. And I do want to say that, yes, we do the brothers. I do a lot of brothers locks at my beauty shop. But to answer your question, with the sisters, we kind of go through a process. We're tired of the perms, we're tired of the curls and all that. So we go into braids, and then we get tired of the braids, and the next step is to lock your hair. That's kind of the process that I'm seeing among the sisters in the community. The brothers, I think that I can only speak from my thinking perspective, is that they just like to have something that doesn't require a lot of maintenance. They don't necessarily want to have the haircuts. So locking is the next phase for them. And you see a lot of brothers. I won't say that it's just a fad. Some of them are doing it for their conscious culture, and some are doing it for a fad. It's hard to distinguish between the two. But whatever, it looks good.
I think one of the things is, and again, I go back to my roots as a scholar in Black studies and just in social work, and I always look at why people do things. And I think it's important that we're educated as to why, because a person like me or somebody might come up to you and say, Steve, why do you lock your hair? Okay, or Antonio, why don't you wear locks, or whatever have you? Because I think it's important, because sometimes when people ask those questions, it's almost like when I hear people say, well, we're the descendants of kings and queens of Africa. And I say, okay, so which one are you the descendant of? And they don't know. I say, because if you're going to make that statement, you need to know what that means, in terms of where we're at and all that. And that's why I appreciate, again, what Hamptonio is doing, is helping bring the culture. And what you guys are doing is you're not only just doing the hair, but you're imparting some of the knowledge of why people are doing things. And
you're absolutely right. It's very important that you have some awareness of why, your origin. And so we have someone who will be speaking on how to trace your roots. So this event is not only just showing hair and what to do with your hair, but we're bringing some culture into it as well.
And Antonio, while you're sitting there, Lynn, as you think about this event, with the LocFest looking at how it ties into what you're doing. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, it's very interesting. It's I think we as a community have really kind of lost our way in reference to our culture and seeing how things are tied in. Once you study your history, you'll see how our ancestors have navigated their way through this thing called life and have a lot of information, and you would see how the whole universe is all tied together. And our ancestors didn't do things if it didn't have a meaning. Everything had a meaning and everything had a purpose behind it. And so by doing our hair like this, see, our hair is like our antennas. It's a receiver of information and receiver of energy. And we locked our hair, and those are like our antennas, is where our ancestors visit us and talk to us, and all the energies of around the planet, comes through the top of our head and like that. So when you're dealing with science, black absorbs energy and white reflects energy. So once you start knowing all these particular things like that, it's all works in harmony and holistically. It's all together. So it's a part of our culture. It's a part of knowing who we are and knowing our culture, and with that, brings forth strength and understanding. And that's where we're at right now as a people, of not knowing ourselves, because there's not enough stewardess, enough people out here to actually promote our culture, and so the mass media don't offer that opportunity for us to know ourselves. So, and I think that's one of the main issues on where we're at right now, because we don't know ourselves and we doing everybody else's culture but our own.
And again, I think one of the things that we always stress in Black Studies is that not only do you not know yourself, but you do know what people are teaching you about yourself, and a lot of times that's what people are rejecting.
Could be wrong.
Okay, right. I may not know all of my African roots. It might be the thinking, but I know I don't like what people have said. When I was a little kid, I oftentimes think about this. When I was in about the 3rd, 4th grade, I used to hate when we had Black History time come up, because the only thing they did in our class was Little Black Sambo. And so, and there was a couple other black kids in the course, and so they made us read the Little Black Sambo parts. Wow. So that wasn't really thing that I wanted to participate in.
That's gonna make you real feel good.
Yeah,
you really feel good about yourself.
Because I didn't see anybody in my neighborhood that had bones in their noses. I didn't see anybody in my neighborhood who was churning up butter and wrestling with tigers and lions and all this other kinds of stuff. And so, it kind of made you turned off to some of this type of stuff. But I know I didn't like that. But as I got a little older and began to read about history, and I began to see the stories, the heroes and sheroes, and then I realized African Americans have one of the greatest stories ever told on the planet Earth regarding survival, growth, and moving forward. That is the greatest story.
Well, one of the things that Dr. W.B. Du Bois was doing as he passed away, as he was dying, was his work on Encyclopedia Africana.
Yes.
And at the time, Encyclopedia Britannica was probably about 25, 30 volumes. And at the point of Dr. Du Bois' death, he was at, I think, 65 or 70 volumes, and he said he was about half through with that Encyclopedia Africana. So think about this. We've got a lot of work to do. It's going to be difficult for us to deal with a cosmology like this. Black is really not even a color. Black is the essence from which color comes.
And so
it just is.
And again, these two events, the Umoja Festival that's taking place on Saturday, and then on Sunday, the LocFest, really ties in together in terms of understanding how to go out and celebrate your culture and understanding what's going on, but also understanding the history of hair care and understanding what that's really all about. Yes, ma'am. And I know you had something you were pointing to.
She wants me to make sure I point out to you all that you need to go to www.LocFestCleveland.com. www.LocFestCleveland.com. We still need advertisers. We still need sponsors. But we expect to see that house packed. This is at a beautiful location. You'll enjoy it just by being there to see the skyline of Cleveland. And
tell them where that is. Tell them where that is.
The Ariel International Center at 1163, isn't it? East 40th off South Marginal Road. East 40th. It's a beautiful center. It's a brick building, about 3 or 4 stories, kind of complex. There's plenty of parking. It's going to be great. And it's an elegant location, and it's got a cultural feel to it. You can call our toll-free hotline right now. You can pick up turn the radio off and pick the phone up. Call 1-800-605-6141. 1-800-605-6141, and you can get all the information. Our tickets, we've got tickets at Eventbrite. We've got 2 ticket locations. All of that's on our website, www.LocFest, and that's LOC, not LOCK, LOC, LocFestCleveland.com.
And Lynn, will you give the information for where people can reach you once again?
Yes, phone number 216-323-6155, 216-323-6155, and to get an idea of the step off and the calendar of events that's taking place throughout the remainder of June, you can go to www.AfricanHistoryMonthSankofa.com, AfricanHistoryMonthSankofa.com. So if you want to be in the parade, there's no fee, there's no cost there. Just give me a call. If you want to be a vendor, give me a call and I'll get an application out to you. So love to see you there.
So can you give me one last comment in the next 30, 40 seconds regarding why people should attend the event on the 6th?
Well, it's an event that brings positive imagery and self-esteem to our community, and I think that's what's much needed, to circumvent a lot of the negative imagery that we see and hear about our people. So this is a event that promotes that, and then it's downtown Cleveland, where all cultures can come together and to partake on the festivities. We're not hidden in our backyard parks. We're right at downtown where everybody can come and centrally located and enjoy.
Okay, and Steve and Safiyyah, can we talk about LocFest? Why should it come to LocFest?
Well, number one, because we need to be proud of who we are here in Cleveland. This media is not going to define who we are. Mm-hmm. We're who we are. We're a cultured people. We're a historically oriented people. We have a rich black history. Unfortunately, I didn't set a lake on fire. Lakes on fire don't have nothing to do with me and my history. Carl Stokes, being the first black mayor, has something to do with it. So the more we learn of all kinds of things, and these events will just let us feel better. You'll feel better after you hear some drumming. You feel better after you hear some good music. You feel better after you see some good information. So, LocFest, we're happy